Yo, what up? It's episode number 8. Let's go.
Everywhere, always.
Hope everybody had a good weekend. Hope everybody had a good 4th of July. Man, for me, 4th of July was kind of cool because I think I had talked about it before. Like I don't care to, buy a bunch of fireworks, do all the crazy parties or stuff like that, going out, especially like downtown Austin. Like, nah, I'm good. Count me out. But this time I did something a little different. Something that's kind of even out of my comfort zone, as a lot of people might know. But I hosted a party for the first time at me and my lady's place. And generally, like, we like to just keep to ourselves. We're real homebodies. We don't really like to go out too much, but we take pride in our place. We like to keep it clean. We like things a certain way. And so we don't really have too many people over, let alone a bunch of people all at once for a party. But we were like, it's a special occasion. We ain't had nobody over yet. Like, let's just do it. Let's just get it going. And it was fun, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I had my thoughts of being worried about certain things, just because I'm a clean freak. I don't know, I worry a little too much about shit, But at the end of the day, it's family that was coming over. I didn't have nobody else over, just family. So all in all, it was cool. I'm glad that we did it, and we all had a great time. And what's funny as shit is, like, I tell my girl all the time, like, um, yo, it'll probably just be a few hours, like, don't even trip. And she always is like, that ain't gonna happen. And shit, man, the party pretty much got started at like 5 p.m. Man, the last people didn't leave till 3 a.m. Okay, now luckily everybody got home safe. All right, nobody was going crazy. Everybody got home safe. But it was just like, I was like, fuck, dude. I ain't thinking that this shit was gonna go that long, but it was cool, man. I think I played a good guest. I mean, a guest. I think I played a good host. I'm used to being a guest, but I feel like I played a good host. Made sure everybody was comfortable. I cooked for everybody, and kept music going. I had the World Cup was on, so I felt like I did pretty good, and I am looking forward to doing it all over again at some point. Probably not anytime soon because I was hungover as fuck the next day, and man, I don't know what it is about being hungover nowadays in my age, but it's not the same. Like, I used to be able to get over being hungover within a few hours. I used to be able to go to work hungover, and it just ain't the same, man. It takes me like 2 days to get fully restored back to health, optimal, you know what I mean, ability. And yeah, I mean, we went hard that night, but man, I was tore up. But yeah, like I said, everybody got home safe. Everybody had a good time, so that was really cool, man. And it was just nice to have everybody in my spot because normally we're somewhere else, at another family member's crib. So it was just nice to have everybody in my place, and to play the host was fun. And it's really different from being a guest versus being a host. You can just kind of let everything just be whatever it is. You know, um, you bring whatever you need to bring, and you talk to whoever's there. You don't really have control over what's going on. You're just there. You know what I mean? It's really like just in the moment type thing. But when you're a host, you got to anticipate people's needs. You got to make sure, you got enough food, drink for everybody. And if not, I feel like as the host, you got to like initiate a, a solution. If you run out of food or drink, or you see people getting bored, it's like, hey, yeah, anybody else want to play some music? Y'all want to turn something else on the TV? Like, just to keep everybody entertained. But it's very different, and I have to say that was my first time, especially as like a grown adult. I'm not even talking about any other time. Like just as a grown adult, my own place, my stuff. I went out and I bought the groceries. I cooked everything. Like it was cool, man. And in a way, I'm kind of like, damn, why didn't I do this sooner? But everything has its time and place. So it was nice. It was really nice, and I'm glad that everybody came. People showed up at different times and left at different times too. So that was kind of nice. Everybody filtered in and out, as they please, and everybody was cool. So yeah, that was nice, man. And yeah, the fucking World Cup, man. The World Cup. Recently, Mexico lost, bummer. USA just lost the other day, bummer. So there's really nobody else I'm out here watching. I won't lie, it is pretty nice to like um not really have any stakes left. If I am watching a game, it's like, hey, I just want to see a good game. But it would have been nice to see Mexico go all the way. You know, USA too, but the difference in their games and like the stakes about it and what's the people that are behind it, it's just different, man. It's just really different. And I think just most of my family, we were pulling for Mexico, pride, you know what I mean? That Mexican pride, you know what I mean? Viva la raza, you know what I'm saying? But it's all good, man. I am pretty hyped to watch like Argentina play. I know there's a lot of controversy as to like, oh, they're probably gonna win again. Like FIFA got shit, kind of like what people say the NFL is scripted and all this other shit. Now people are saying that about FIFA, but it's whatever, man. Like I hadn't really seen Messi play like a full on game. I've seen clips of him in the past, but I watched a few of his games these past games, and dude is like crazy to watch. You know what I mean? It's almost like watching Kobe or something, bro. Like he knows what he's doing with the sport, and to see somebody who's just that good, it's impressive to watch, and it's cool to watch. So I'll definitely be watching the Argentina games. Shit, I don't even know who's still in it. I think France is in it. Morocco is still in it. Uh, who else? Yeah, France, Morocco. I think Spain, Belgium, Norway, and England, and then Argentina and Switzerland. So those games will be out later this week, and yeah, I think it's gonna be cool to see, man. Um, I don't know who's gonna win. There's great players on all those teams, but who knows? It's up in the air. You know what I mean? Uh, Something that was like, I don't know. I was like, it was hard to decide between. You know what I mean? But like, I had to choose family. Okay, on the 4th of July, most people know Kanye, Ye, whatever the hell you want to call him. Dude came to San Antonio at the Alamo Dome. He had a concert. I've never been to a Kanye concert nor a Ye concert. Okay, I don't know if they're two different people or what's going on, but I ain't been to one. Okay, and just seeing the videos prior and then seeing the actual like Alamo Dome show in San Antonio that he did, like, fuck. I ain't gonna lie, that's one of those very few things where it's like I really missed out on that one, man. I would have liked to have gone to that one. That looked insane. But like I said, I chose family. You know what I mean? I chose to play a host. I chose to be with my people and not spend $500-600 on tickets. Can't be mad at that. But it was definitely one of those things I've looked back on. I'm like, yeah, I might have went there. San Antonio's not that far from Austin, and I don't think he's gonna be here anytime soon. Let alone with that stage design and production. You know what I mean? He's done something different every time he goes on tour. But yeah, it was definitely one of those fuck moments. But I've seen so many. I continue to see the videos. It's like, all right, I fucking get it, dude. I wasn't there, but it is what it is, man. His new album is pretty good. You know, I'm not the biggest Kanye fan, but he does make great music. You know, all the other shit aside, the antics, he makes good music. No pun intended. Um, so yeah. Um, what else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and this probably should have been the first thing I fucking said, but one of these last episodes, I had talked about what happened to being neighborly, right? And I was bringing up somebody who he don't live there no more. Um, we were neighborly at first, friendly. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Cool. You know, never talked too much, never got in each other's business, never got in each other's way. And then it just turned one day of like, dude wasn't friendly no more. I'm like, what the fuck? And then I just had a gripe about like, what was it? You know what I mean? Because like I did nothing but be a good neighbor. I helped. You know, I was always friendly. I ain't never did nothing wrong. So I was always curious. But then it was like, you know, maybe I'll never fucking figure it out. It is what it is. Um, but holy shit, on Netflix, okay, listen to me. On Netflix, there's a damn series called Worst Neighbor Ever. They got some other ones like Worst Roommate Ever, Worst Ex Ever, I think. But Worst Neighbor Ever, holy shit. Me and my lady watched this one episode, okay, about some guy who was really wealthy. His parents left him like a bunch of shit, you know, real estate, uh, I think like stocks, all kinds of money. Dude had millions, right? How they tell the story, and it unfolds in a different way from how I'm telling you, but this is pretty much chronological. Dude was like 70 years old, right? He lived by himself in this big ass house in California somewhere. And he ended up dying. Of what? I don't know. But he died in his house, and he had obviously been there for some time as what they tell it. But he was dead on his floor in his house. Some guy, I think his name was Jason or John, or I don't know. Let's call him Jason because I think that was his name. This guy was like a thief, crook type motherfucker. He was breaking into houses and stealing shit. Okay. He just so happened to break into this guy. I think his name was Charles. He broke into Charles, the wealthy guy's house, and was stealing shit, right? And then he came across Charles's dead body. And he realized this motherfucker's been dead for a while because he's like stuck to the floor. He's got rats like picking at him and shit. Okay. So then apparently this dude calls his friend Charlotte, I believe her name was. And I'm trying not to look it up. I'm trying to recall this from memory. I'm trying to help my fucking brain. Calls Charlotte and he's like, yo, this dude's dead in his house. It's a big ass house. Like, I don't even know. Like, the shit sounded crazy how he put it together. But basically, he called this woman to run a scam because he didn't know if anybody else had known that he was dead already. So he calls this girl Charlotte and is like, "Yo, we need to run this real estate financial scam on this dude. He's dead. I don't think anybody knows he's dead. There's documentation in the house. I don't think he got her. I think she just was this fucking great scam artist, but forged a bunch of documents, became his trustee. People were looking for him. Like the sheriffs came in and did like a welfare check, and were looking for him. And she was there, and she was saying, "I'm his trustee. I'm taking care of the house while he's gone. We're trying to get it sold. He's not here right now." Blah blah blah, giving them the runaround for so many months, right? And nobody knows where this dude Charles is, really. You know, they don't say nothing until the very end, but he was dead, right? The whole time. How he died, no one knows because it didn't say. They just said they found him and they ran the scam. And it was for like, I want to say a few years. Yeah, I think it was a few years because I want to say it was like during COVID when it started. And then like 22, 23 is whenever everything got found out. But man, whole bunch of shit happened. I'm not gonna, well, I am gonna ruin it for you because it's fucking crazy. But like a whole bunch of shit happened, and she kept giving the police the runaround. Never told them this dude was dead. Never admitted to forging documents and doing all this other shit. But they ended up like catching her because like you know how the police do. But they ended up figuring out you did do something. You lied. You forged. You're stealing shit. Blah blah blah. And whatchamacallit. Damn. Something just happened outside. Oh, damn, lost my train of thought. Um lost my train of thought because I didn't know what the fuck happened outside. Yeah, I heard a bunch of noise outside. I was like, who the fuck is outside? Um, damn, lost my train of thought. Oh, but anyways, they figured everything out, right? They went through a bunch of shit, and in the end, they like got her right, and they're like, "We know you forged a bunch of shit, but we want to know what happened to this dude Charles." She ended up saying all the shit I said earlier about her friend finding him dead and blah blah blah, and the guy Jason who originally called her to like start this whole scam, he gave her up instantly as soon as they went and grabbed him. I don't even remember how they found this dude out, but they pretty much got him to just give her up. And he told the police the whole thing, like, hey, found this dude dead, called Charlotte. She came over with another girl and they like wrapped his body up in a tarp. And then y'all showed up looking for Charles and y'all didn't even know he was there still wrapped up. Stuff like in the fucking garage or some shit. And then she took the dead body with the other girl to her apartment, okay, and was cutting him up and stuffing him in a barrel and trying to dissolve his body and then broke up his bones and all this other shit, like reduced him down to fucking fluid. And then like pushed all that shit down a pipe down her balcony to the back of the damn apartment building and got rid of his ass. Like what the fuck? And where she was living was like it was called Beverly Glen. You could probably look that up and see where the fuck that is. It was supposedly a nice area. But her neighbors were talking about like we knew this chick and she seemed nice and all was well and then like shit got weird and then blah blah blah. But it ended up coming out this chick was running a scam, stealing dude's money, his everything. I think she took like over half a mil from him before they found out. And she was cutting him up in the apartment and then she threw his ass in a bin and dissolved him and it's just crazy. So I'm saying all that to say it was a great series. Check it out on Netflix. Worst Neighbor Ever. But man, what I was saying about being neighborly, like, fuck that. You stay on your side, I stay on my side. If you want to wave, go ahead. But I might wave back or I might not. But for the most part, I don't want no parts of being neighborly whatsoever. Not after seeing that shit. That was insane, yo. I'm gonna keep to myself. I'm locking my doors. I got my you know what I mean? Because we live in the great state of Texas. And I don't want no problems. I don't want to get in nobody's business. I don't want nobody in my goddamn business. Like, no, bro. Neighborly? No. No, no, no. Not for me. Okay. Not after seeing that shit. And that wasn't even, well, it might have been the worst one. It was the most bizarre shit, but there's a bunch of other stuff in that series, bro. And it's just neighbors acting wild for no reason. And people just doing shit that you would just, as a normal human being, I'm just like, bro, who teaches you that shit? Or like, how bad is the world or whatever part of the world you come from to where it makes you like that? That shit was like mind blowing. I was jaw dropped like half the fucking episode that we were watching. I was just in disbelief, like, what the fuck are we watching? But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, no, it's funny. So I talked about my grandmother, how much of a role model influence, um, just a beautiful imprint on my life. But it's so funny, man. Like I notice more and more as I get older, like how many things she used to do that I'm doing a lot. One of the main things she would do would be like if she ordered some food, she wouldn't like throw a fit or go crazy within the first exchange, but she'd like order her food and be like, "Now I want it extra crispy, or I want it like this, or don't put none of that on it. And if you do it how I'm telling you not to do it, I'm sending it back. Like you're gonna see me again." And she would just be stern, like, "Hey, I'm telling you, like, don't get it wrong. If you get it wrong, it's on you, okay?" And I would always like sometimes I get embarrassed, but then I started thinking it was funny. But then she would always tell me, like, "Listen, I work hard for my money. And if I'm coming to get some food or I'm paying for any type of service or whatever, I'm gonna say how I want it. And if I don't get it how I want it, you're gonna hear about it. You know what I mean? You're gonna hear me bitch about it or talk about it or confront you or whatever the fuck." And I started to understand that shit, like getting into my 20s and stuff like that. I'm like, I mean, you're right. Like, yeah, you fucking work all day for this money, you pay bills, you do this, you do that, and then you take yourself out, or you're in her um world, she's taking out her grandsons, and you know why are you gonna fuck something up if I told you exactly like I want it like this? You know what I mean? How hard is that? And I've just noticed myself doing that shit more and more lately, especially like I just be going off on people like, "Hey, I said fucking I didn't want that. Why are you giving me all this? Like fix this for me, please." Like, and I'm not trying to be fucking rude. I know people like I don't know, they just don't like when people say stuff, and I've always talked about like don't be in the way, like get your stuff, get out of the way, especially at a grocery store or something, like don't hold up a line, like don't do all this shit. Yeah, I'm all for that. But it's also like if fucking straight up said like, "Yo, I don't want that or I do want this," and then you give me the opposite, there's some incompetence happening and it ain't on my part. You know what I mean? So fix it. And I always say please. And I always am starting off on the right foot with respect. Like, listen, hey, listen to me. I said I didn't want this and you gave me this. So can you please fix this for me? Okay. There's only been a few times where I've had to like somewhat raise my voice like that, but it's only because the person is more incompetent than I'm willing to understand or to even put up with. Because it's like, listen, yo, this is your job. If you're not good at your job, that's only you and your employer's problem. That shouldn't be my problem, you know? Especially when I'm paying for this shit. Like I'm coming in here, I'm on this fucking side of the window or wherever the food is, you're on that side controlling it. I'm paying you for this service or this good, whatever. Fucking give it to me the way I'm paying for it. You know what I mean? What is the problem? What is the problem with me wanting what I paid for? You know what I mean? And that's why I mean, I try not to go out as much as I can, like especially when it comes to food. I try to just stay home and cook the food cuz I know what's in it. I know the macros on the shit. I know how much damn sugar, like dude, if you looked up the nutrition on most places that you go eat at, I'm going to say namely for starters Chick-fil-A, you would be fucking appalled at how much sugar and fat and all this other shit is in this food, let alone what it's made of. All right. So I know this already. So I don't put myself in that situation for the most part. But when it does come to certain places that I do fuck with and frequent, right? I'm paying for this shit, so I should get it how I want to get it, you know? And it's always funny to me though, because I feel like half the time it's incompetence and the other half is almost like people are on like this robotic, like, you know, kind of like when somebody's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And they don't expect you to be like, "Oh, I'm actually like doing," and you actually fucking answer instead of just being like, "Oh, good," and then go on with whatever you were saying. It's like you break something in their mind and then they like short circuit and they're like, huh, like, was it breaking the third or fourth fucking wall? When you just like, they almost feel it as confrontation where you're like, "Hey, I didn't order this shit. Please fix this." And they're just like, "Whoa." Like they didn't expect anybody to say anything or get out of line with them that day, or if ever. So they almost don't even know how to handle it. They almost like freeze up every time, like, and then I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, do you not hear me, or are you fucking dumb, or what's happening? What is happening on your side? Because I came in here as a paying customer, so let me please get my shit and go. Last thing I want to do is wait longer on someone else's mistake, especially when I don't fucking work here. So it just baffles me. I'm appalled. I'm puzzled. I'm all these things. I'm bewildered. I'm beside myself when this shit happens because it's just like, you went through training, you know? And then this just goes back to everything that I said about like taking pride in your work. Like nobody, I feel like I'm an old soul. I've heard this from older people and I feel it in my fucking bones too of like, where is the pride in your work? Where is the pride in doing a good job? You know what I mean? It don't matter where you work. Where is the pride at? Where is the self-respect of like, you know, if I'm gonna be a gas station, well, that's a terrible. There ain't no gas station attendants. Um, if I'm gonna be if I'm gonna be a Chick-fil-A worker, I'm gonna be the best damn Chick-fil-A worker. I'm gonna have this lemonade fresh every day. I'm gonna make sure this food gets out hot. You know what I mean? Like no excuses. Like I'm here. I'm on the clock. When I'm on the clock, this shit's gonna be right. Where's the pride? Where's the self respect? I don't get it. And I can't really make excuses for anybody, but I'm just like, something's got to give eventually, yo. Like I've been hearing it all damn week, right? The 4th of July just passed. America's 250 years old. Like we've had enough time and enough generations, enough training, enough fucking everything. We're supposed to be the fucking greatest country on the planet. So can we get some pride and self-respect back in the workplace? Doesn't matter where it is. Can people just do the right thing by the customer and just do your fucking job? Like, how hard is it, yo? But it kills me every time that I have to deal with somebody like that because I just added to the list. I'm like, nope, that's another one. That's another one. That's another one. And like I said, I try not to be too hard on them, but it's just like, man, like if I was a piece of shit at my job, I wouldn't be saying none of this because I'd probably be completely oblivious to anybody ever feeling this way. But I don't because I'm not. All right. I take pride in my work. I have self respect enough to be like, I'm not going to do no shit job. I did a union job some years back. And I remember like I had a foreman even be like, hey, if my name's on that, it ain't going to be no bullshit. Because people are going to look at that and they're going to know I did it. And what excuse am I going to have? I did it. So I always run with that. I'm like, you know what? You're right. If my name's on it, it ain't going to be no bullshit. You know what I mean? And if it isn't up to par with what somebody expected of me, then I'll own it. That's being accountable. You know what I mean? Like, all right, I fucked up. I got something to learn and I'll do better the next time, but like not this whole avoiding responsibility because that whole like it ain't my job or I don't get paid enough for that. It's like you right here, yo, you wearing the uniform. What the fuck you mean? Like, come on. If not, like get out the way. What are you doing here? Go home, clock out. Shit. Damn. Ah, man. And that's why I say like sometimes like I want to be out of the way as much as possible, especially when it comes to being in public, because you don't know what other people got going on. It's nice to be kind, but at the same time, it's like I feel forced sometimes. I feel like people force my hand to like act up, man, to cause a scene. And it's like, don't make me do this shit, bro. I'm like the last person that wants to get all fucking uppity in the middle of the damn uh grocery store or in the damn fast food line. Like, just come on, man. I know I ain't nobody special, but I'm here and I'm the one in front of you now. So like let's figure this out. Let's figure this shit out and let's keep it moving because we both need to keep it moving. I don't want to be stuck in this situation any longer than I've already been. I want to look this up. Okay. I'm going to read this definition of what it means to be humble because I have a thought about it, but I need to make sure I'm wording this correctly. To be humble means to have a modest, unpretentious view of one's own importance. To describe someone who doesn't, no wait, it describes someone who doesn't consider themselves better than anyone else, stays grounded despite success, and willingly acknowledges their shortcomings. It can also refer to things that are low in rank, simple, or not luxurious. Um, your personal attitude. Being humble means avoiding arrogance and not letting praise go to your head. It involves listening to others, respecting different perspectives, and admitting when you're wrong. It describes, no, that's not it. It can be used to offer an opinion or apology in a courteous, non-aggressive way, such as in my humble opinion. Okay. Okay, and then as a verb, to humble, it means to lower someone's pride, dignity, or power. It can mean realizing you aren't as important as you thought or being brought down to earth by a challenge. Okay. So, with what I just talked about, with people having like self respect and pride in their work and stuff like that, I think that is of the utmost importance because it does bring your value up, right? And I don't think that having pride in your work, pride in what you do on a regular basis, especially if you're trying to master something, a craft of some sort, a job, a trade, whatever, right? It isn't pretentious to me to know that you're good at something. That's just knowing your strengths and your weaknesses because you could be like, hey, I'm really good at that. I'm not so good at that. Maybe, especially like if you're on a team or if someone's hiring you for something, it's like, don't expect me to be fucking amazing at this part because I've already told you, like, that's not where my strength is. My strength is this thing right here. Okay. So I don't think it's pretentious. I don't think it's one of those things of like, if you tell somebody, like, man, I'm good at that. No, I got that. Like, hey, no problem. I don't think it's right for people to always jump to like, oh, you need to humble yourself. You need to and like it just said, humble yourself as to bring you back to earth, lower your pride, dignity, or power. I think people might misconstrue that and put a negative connotation on that and being like, oh, they just think they have some power over me or they are like gonna dominate me or this space with whatever they think they're so good at. And it's like something my grandmother always said is like, hey, when you're good, you're good. You can't you can't argue with fact. You can't argue with evidence. Something that you could see in front of your face. All right. Like, I feel like somewhere along the line, people as a society, or maybe it's just people in America, I don't know, have just gotten a little too sensitive and just don't want great people to be great. I get it. There's a lot of arrogance out there. There's a lot of people who are hungry for power. There's a lot of people who just think they're better than everybody else by any means. And that sucks. It's going to happen though. There's not a lot of great people, but there are a lot of great people. It just depends on the situation, man. You know what I mean? Like, shit happens, people happen. But I don't think it's something to where, like, you always need to humble yourself in a situation where you know you are good. Because how else can you excel? I get it that, like, in a way, if you get big headed about something, you're like, man, I'm really good at that. That might that might instill a lot of comfort in your day-to-day activities. And one of my favorite quotes is, ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. Sometimes people who have it the hardest accelerate the furthest or fastest, or just do amazing things altogether, as opposed to somebody who's always had it easy. And that's because they know what it is to not have something, or not to be comfortable, or not, I don't know, like, live up to certain expectations. So they always got to, like, prove something to themselves and keep going, and like never take their foot off the gas pedal. You know what I mean? So I think it's like, I'm just saying it's like circumstantial to where you can really tell somebody you should humble yourself, or you should be more humble. You gotta look at the situation of, like, where this person comes from, what they do on a regular basis. Are they always in practice? Are they always in motion? Are they always trying to better themselves? Are they, for the most part, always respectable? Like, if they check all those boxes, it's like, listen, man, I don't think there's anybody else who could be more humble than them. At a certain point, it kind of just, it like aches to just always be humble. You know what I mean? I feel like you have to own your greatness, you know, especially when, I've talked about it before, like being a clean vessel for these energies and ideas and things to flow through you, whether you're a creative person or you're just an active person trying to pursue something in life. I feel like you can't really always humble yourself, in the sense of, like, you know, it's good to keep in the back of your mind of, like, shit could change in a day, or I might not always have it this way. But it can also be looked at on the other side too. You flip it, it's like, hey man, I ain't always had this. You know what I mean? And, like, shit can change in a day. So that's why I'm not gonna quit. I'm gonna keep going, you know? And I don't know. I've just had that on my mind, that I think, because there's a lot in that definition that can be misconstrued one with the other. You just have to look at it circumstantially, and, like, not be so sensitive to, like, how people are going about things in life, because you don't know their whole story. You don't know where they come from. You don't know where they're going, and you don't know what they do on a daily basis. And if you do, then maybe you should humble yourself and maybe learn something. Maybe step it up, you know? And like I've said, I've never had a problem in being wrong. I've never had a problem with changing my mind based on new information. I've never had a problem just accepting, like, man, you know what? I could have did better, and for whatever reason I didn't. But I'm not comfortable with just being completely disobedient. It's like, better, so you should do better. Most people, that ain't the case. We do know better, and we still don't do better, because maybe the not doing better is easier, it's more comfortable. When it comes to, like, food, shit just tastes good all the time. So you're like, I'm not gonna control myself. I'm gonna eat the whole sleeve of Oreos. But sometimes shit happens. But nobody's perfect. But to try and humble somebody on a regular basis, especially if they're doing some good shit, man, it's like they say, man, fucking, if you got to get out of a winner's way if you ain't winning, or whatever that shit is. You know what I mean? But you can learn from winners too. You don't always have to just look at them like, oh, they think they're better than everybody. It's like, well, if they doing the damn thing, they got motion. They're always in practice. They're always doing shit to get themselves further. Then maybe take a page out of their book. maybe step up to the plate and own what you need to in your life. Get your story going so it is just as good as someone like that or whatever, Not no need to compare yourself to other people, but it's just like, you know what I mean? Like, don't pocket watch, as they say. Don't watch other people's pockets. Don't watch other people's ambition or nothing like that. You can be motivated, inspired by other people, but like, you got to focus on your own clock, we all are looking at the same 24 hours, but how we spend that is very different. But just mind your own clock and make something of it, because time is time and we don't know how much each individual has. They say this whole like 100 years, dude. I don't want to be 100 years old. All right. If I make it to 70, 75, that'd be a miracle. That's cool. But I want to be in good health and I want to make sure that I made some good decisions to make sure that I'm comfortable by that time. You know what I mean? I don't want to be on no bullshit because I know a lot of people can carry a lot of fucking bitterness and anger and resentment just all through their life. And, you know, maybe that could stem from you trying to always humble people or you not being as humble. But I suggest you take a look at that word and understand what it really means for you and your circumstances because just like everybody, your circumstances are much different, man. So that's about it, yo. Episode number 8, Everywhere Always.